Hi guys, welcome to Maths Chat. I'm going to be going over how to use the perfect square rule. Now this is a super easy formula to use that means that we don't have to use the distributive law, which is what I taught you in my previous video. Alright, so looking at this first one, some people when they see this, they like to rewrite it as this. And as you can see, it's the same thing multiplied because that whole expression is squared. Although we can do that and then just use the distributive law or use FOIL, there's a trick that we can use that will save us a bit of time, and that is the perfect square rule. If you have a look at this, perfect square rule says when you've got a plus b squared, that is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, that is the expanded version of that. Now that's really important to have in mind. So if I look back at my question, I've got an A and I've got a B, which is 3, because that is all within the expression that's been squared. So let's use this equation to help us expand this one. It's really good to start by defining what A and B is. So A is just A, that's easy. B is 3. So now every time I see A or B in this formula, I'm going to rewrite it in mine. I've got A squared plus 2 times A times B, and remember B is 3, plus B squared. Now notice all I've done at this stage is put it in brackets. I haven't simplified anything yet. I haven't jumped to any conclusions. I've just substituted them in and put them in brackets, which is a really good way to make sure you don't make any mistakes when you're doing this. I'm going to do this further, but this time I'm going to simplify. So we don't actually need this anymore technically, so I'm just going to put that to the side. A squared stays as is, plus 6a, because 2 times 3 is 6, and that comes out the front of the A, plus 9. As you can see, that's a much easier step than multiplying this all out and then simplifying it. If I was going to expand this, I would end up with the exact same value here. However, I would have had to have simplified it in an extra step. This is why the perfect square rule is really fantastic to use, because it's straightforward and it's quicker. Alright, next one. This one is a bit trickier. As you can see, I've actually got a pronumeral and a number within my perfect square, and I've also got something out the front. So we're just going to leave that -3 out the front to start off with. -3, and then I'm going to worry what's inside here. So this is my A, so A is equal to 2y, and B is equal to 6. Now looking back at my perfect square rule, this time I'm looking at the formula that has the negative inside the bracket, because as you can see there's a negative here. The only difference between these two when expanded is this negative and this positive. B will end up being a positive because if you recall from when we use FOIL, the last two are multiplied by each other. And so if it's a negative, it's still going to be a positive at the end. So this is the only thing that changes. When I've got a negative here, the operation between here and here becomes a negative. I'm just going to put that up here and follow that as I'm doing this next one. So I've got the -3 out the front. I've got A squared. So because 2y is A, I square that, minus 2 times A, which is 2y, times 6, plus 6 squared. Again, I've kept them all in brackets so that I can see quite clearly where I've subbed in my values. Let's go through and simplify this part before we apply the -3. Now this is where it's really important that you think carefully as you're going through it so not to make any mistakes. 2y times 2y becomes 4 y squared. Negative 2 times 2y times 6 becomes negative 2 times 2y. So that part is negative 4y. Times 6 is negative 24y. Then let's apply the last one. So plus 6 times 6 is 36. Great. Now I'm not finished just yet. This is where I need to apply my negative 3. And we're multiplying it by every single term that we've got in our new bracket. So my answer, negative 12 y squared, because negative 3 times 4 is 12. Then negative 3 times negative 24 becomes positive 72. And obviously the y is still there. And then negative 3 times positive 36 is negative 108. That is how you would use the perfect square rule when you've got a negative. And also when you've got something out the front. Alright, so that was a perfect square rule, and as you can see, it makes our time expanding and simplifying a lot easier. Make sure that you leave any questions or comments below, and hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!